What if I told you that Cape Coral just saw home prices rise year over year for the first time in a long time? Because that's exactly what happened. And it may be the clearest sign yet that our market is finally hitting bottom and is starting to turn. Now, this month's MLS data reveals a story we haven't been able to tell in quite some time, since mid-2022. Prices are starting to creep up once again, buyer demand is strengthening, and while inventory is rising in anticipation for snowbird season, it's nowhere near the surge that we saw last winter. And that raises the big question: are we on track to hit 3,500 available single-family homes by February like last year, or is this the moment where the pattern breaks? Because right now, the numbers are telling a different story. With less than 2,600 homes currently available, not single-family homes here in Cape Coral, more buyers are writing offers, more homes are going under contract, and for the first time in a long time, the momentum feels like it's shifting in the opposite direction. Is this the start of the rebound? Are we officially past the bottom? Or is this just a temporary bump before inventory climbs once again? In this month's update, I'm breaking down exactly what's happening straight from the MLS, so you can cut through the headlines and get the real boots on the ground truth about Cape Coral's housing market. With the market showing early signs of a shift, now is the time to schedule your video strategy call with me. Click the link in the description below. And if you're thinking about buying, selling, retiring, or relocating, contact me today or schedule your complimentary strategy call like many others have. They are now living their Cape Coral dream. No more shoveling walks or freezing in the car waiting for it to warm up. Just endless days of sunshine, boating, and golf. I'm Berry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront Realtor, and this is your December 2025 Market Update. All right, let's dive into the numbers. Hey guys, welcome to the Cape Coral Market Update for December 2025. We've got a lot of great information to go over. We're going to pull our numbers directly from the MLS. We're going to look at what happened in the month of November, compare that 90 days back, and then compare that an entire year back. Now, this is a single family home market update, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, one of the things that I like to emphasize with people is these numbers are the actual numbers that are pulled from the MLS. We get a lot of people and a lot of headlines out there that say one thing or another thing, but they're not actually looking at the actual data, or they're cherry picking. Many people out there like to cherry pick for clicks or just to get attention, but what you need to focus on is what's actually happening in the market. And I'm sure people will put some comments down below about how they know better or they've got some inside information, but they can't really dispute what the numbers are telling us. So let's jump in and take a look. What numbers do we look at? We look at the market indicators, inventory, how many homes are currently available on the market here in the city of Cape Coral. Now, this is going to be our supply. More supply means cheaper prices. Lower supply means higher prices. Let's jump in and look at median price. The median price point, 50% of the homes are above this amount, 50% of the homes are below this amount. Days on the market. This is how many days homes are sitting on the market before going under contract. And then closed sales is all about buyer demand. If we have a lot of people here buying homes, that means buyer confidence is up and buyer demand is up. When buyer demand goes up, then prices tend to go up as well, which then it turns into a seller's market. Now, we're currently in a buyer's market, just barely. I'm excited to see what happens over the next few months, but let's dive in and look at the numbers now to see what happened in the month of November and how that compares to the previous 12 months. So active inventory currently is 2,586 single-family homes available in the city of Cape Coral. August 2025, we had 2,529 homes available, and then last November, 2,991 homes available. Now, what I want to point out is, yes, we did jump up just a little bit, but if you remember, back in February, we had over 3,500 homes available here in the city of Cape Coral. We then proceeded to dive down from that. We drove down over 1,000 homes. We got under 2,500 homes available. And now, in anticipation of season, which always happens this time of year, once we go through November, December, January, we're always going to see the inventory start to climb, because a smart seller knows that the best time to put their home on the market is when the most amount of buyers are here, so they can get the most exposure. And so we have the most amount of buyers here around the middle of January is when they show up. January, February, March, April, and then into May, that's when we have the most amount of buyers here. So sellers want to get their homes on the market, so we always see an increase in inventory come this time of year. Now, last year, look how much more higher it was. We're almost 400 more homes available last year than we are this year. So that's a huge indicator that our supply is not going to be there like it was last year. where it was hugely in a buyer's advantage to be able to buy a house here, where it's still going to be a buyer's advantage going into this season. However, that advantage is starting to shrink just a bit. Median price point. So median price point for November 2025 was $392,000 for a single family home here in the city of Cape Coral. August 2025, $367,999. And 1 year ago, November 2024, was $390,000. Now, one of the things that I'm watching, keeping an eye on, is year over year, our price has been dropping and dropping. Not substantially, but it has dropped year over year. Now, for the first time in a long time, we actually saw the price increase year over year. And I think that has a lot to do with the lack of inventory, or the lower, not lack of inventory, but the lower inventory, and as well as having a lot of buyers here. We had a really strong buyers month in October, and then once again in November. So when you bring in the demand and you don't have as much supply, prices start to tick back up. Now, is this time to panic if you're a buyer and you've been waiting for the bottom? No, absolutely not. But it's highly recommended that you pay attention. And if you are in a position to buy, you may want to start really digging deep and finding the home that's right for you, because I don't believe that the prices are going to go much lower, if at all. Now, as we look at the chart here, 1 year ago, they decreased a little bit December, January, and then February they jumped back up, and then they've been decreasing all year until we got into September, and then October they went up a little bit, and now November they've gone up a little bit. So they're starting to trend up just a little bit. Not saying that you need to panic and rush out and buy a house just because, but if you are in a position to buy and you find the right house to buy, understand that this might start angling back up, especially as we go into season. All right, days on the market. How many days are homes sitting on the market? November 2025, 66 days on the market. August 2025, 57 days on the market. And November 2024, 53 days on the market. Now, a lot of the reason that these higher numbers are in here are homes that have been sitting on the market because they've been overpriced. I know we've been talking about this for the last couple of years. However, Cape Coral still has a lot of homes that are overpriced, and they just sit on the market for a substantial amount of time, driving up this days on the market. Homes that are priced correctly or that are in demand sell rather quickly here in Cape Coral. However, we are still seeing a lot of homes sitting on the market just because they've been overpriced. A lot of new construction homes just sitting there not selling unless they're being brought down to where they need to be competitive. But as you can see, days on the market has increased since April and gone up. Once we start to clear through that inventory, then we'll start to see those numbers come back down. Closed sales. November 2025, we had 348 closed sales for the month of November. August 2025, 441 closed sales, and November 2024, 310 closed sales. So we saw we've sold almost 40 more homes this November than we did last November. So that's a huge bump. We're keeping an eye on that. I know last month was a substantial bump. October was huge. We sold a lot of homes in October in Cape Coral compared to where it was a year ago. And I believe that's because that buyer confidence is starting to shift. We're starting to see people believe in the market a little more nowadays. We're starting to see interest rates drop just a bit. And as inventory decreases as well, that's going to, and buyer demand goes up, then we're going to see prices start to increase. But here we are, buyer demand is still up year over year. We got off to a shaky start last year. January, February was really bad. And that's typically because January is always bad because these are homes that go under market or under contract in December. There's just not a lot of buyers here in the month of December. So here's an inside tip for you. If you are in a position to buy, December often has a lot of opportunity because sellers are putting their homes on the market in anticipation for season, but the buyers haven't showed up yet. So oftentimes you can get a great opportunity and find that perfect house for you in December or the first couple weeks of January. Now, once we got into season, full swing into season, we were cruising right along and seeing some really good numbers in March, April, May, and then throughout year-over-year comparison, our numbers were still quite a bit higher. Almost, I believe, every month this year, once we got past February, year-over-year higher than we were last year. So that buyer confidence has increased. I was really surprised about October, and even this month, all the numbers still probably aren't in yet. We'll probably go over 350, so certainly 40 homes more sold in November 2025 than November 2024. Okay, months of inventory. So this is what we've been watching also. And I think this is one of the biggest indicators of what's happening here in the market in the Cape Coral. Now, months of inventory is how many months it would take to completely sell out all the homes on the market based on the amount of buyers that are here if not another new home came to the market. So if you remember, well, let's jump in. So November 2025, we had 7.4 months of inventory. So if we didn't see another new home come on the market, based on the amount of sales that we had in November, it would take almost 7.5 months to completely sell out all of our inventory. August 2025, 5.7 months. And then November 2024, 9.6 months. Anything between 4 and 6 months is considered a neutral market, not an advantage for the buyer, not an advantage for the seller. Anything over 6 months is a buyer's advantage. Anything under 4 months is a seller's advantage. So the last couple of months, we've been hanging out. Actually, the last several months, if you look, this is my yellow line here. This is my neutral market line. And if you look right here, you can see how we've been right above that line, right below that line last month in October 2025. And then we came above the line here. But if you look where we were last year at 9.6 months of inventory based on the amount of buyers in November, and now we're sitting at 7.4. Now we're going to see this increase just a bit. Nothing like we did last year though, because we have more buyers here this year and less inventory. So that means our months of inventory is certainly going to be lower. Are we going to get to 9 months of inventory in the next couple of months? Possibly once we get into January, but I don't see it going above 10 for sure. Whereas last year we just shot through the roof. And then once we get into full swing into season, if you didn't buy, I don't think we're going to be in bidding wars yet, but we're certainly going to be getting close to where the good ones are going to go fast. And if you're not paying attention, you might miss out on the opportunity. We've been low on prices. We've been coming down since June of 2022. And I think we're right there at the bottom. I don't think we're going to go much lower. And I think we're going to start trending back the other direction. All right, current trends. So first week of November compared to the first week of December, or I should say the last week of October compared to the last week of November ending December 1. So new listings 219, new listings 101. That's kind of strange. Look at this. Usually last year we saw this number jump quite a bit more than November, whereas November this year we had more new listings in November than we have the first or last week of November. Sold 109, sold 77. We have let's go to pending, 132. Pending here, we have 83. So obviously this time of the year, the market does start to slow down a little bit. That's what happens. We're not going to see as many pending, as many sold, not as much buyer competition here. And we didn't see as many new homes come to the market either, like I thought we would. Price decrease, 285. Price decrease, 147. We're starting to align those prices. Sellers are getting more comfortable with where they're at. They're not willing to go any lower. They're saying, if you want this house, you got to pay this price. If not, we're just going to sit on it and hold it until the market turns. Price increase 11, price increase 9. So not a big difference there. Let's go to other key numbers. Sold price per square foot, $242 a square foot is the median price per square foot here in the city of Cape Coral. List price received, 97.3%. Now that's the price that people are giving a discount off the list price. So if you come in and negotiate, you have a great realtor that can negotiate for you, you're probably going to do a little better than this depending on how motivated the seller is. But the median discount right now is about 2.5%, so 97.3% off the list price. New listings, 603 new listings came to the market in the month of November. Now what's crazy about this is I was looking at the numbers for last year. That number last year was almost 1,000. It was over 900 new listings came to the market. That's incredible. That's a huge number, and we're just not seeing that supply come to the market like we were last year. And I keep saying that over and over, but I really want you to get the point. I want you to understand that our market is certainly shifting. And you can look at the folks that want to just talk about they got a whim or they got a feeling that it's going to crash, it's going to go down. Maybe they're not in a position to buy. Maybe they can't afford to buy and they're wishing and praying and hoping. And I understand that because affordability is still a thing here in Cape Coral. However, a lot of the buyers in Cape Coral, that money is coming down from the north or from out west or the Midwest. So people are selling their homes there. They're getting pretty good money for their homes. They're able to come down here, and what they're able to buy here is so much nicer, bigger, better than what they own there for the same price point. So we still have a lot of money coming into our city. However, if you are living here, working here, there is still an affordability issue. Although we are seeing income start to increase just a bit, which will certainly help out. But I think we're real close to the bottom, and unless you've got some great information that can tell me differently, then we're going to look at the numbers every single time. And then we talked about months of inventory was 7.4 months of inventory at the end of November. Okay, other key numbers we look at, want to understand how the overall economy is doing. However, we did have some challenges with the government being shut down in November where we didn't get the numbers updated, which is unfortunate, but that's where we're at right now. So inflation peaked at 9.1% back in June 2022. We're now hovering right around 3%. This is an old number. This came out in, I believe, September or October. So it may be a little higher than this. It may be a little lower than this. We don't know. Hopefully we get things rolling again, and by our report next month, we should have the accurate number there. Interest rates. We do know interest rates, back in November 2023, they peaked at 8.01%. We're now currently at 6.25%. Our target was 6.5%. We've now been below 6.5% for a couple of months now, and we are seeing that buyer demand start to increase. I believe that's one of the biggest things that's keeping that buyer demand up right now. And as we get into season, it's going to continue to increase even further. If it goes below 6%, look out, because that's when the buyers are going to start pulling the trigger and they're going to start buying. Unemployment, again, this number is a little off. It was at 4.4% back in October. It may be higher than that. It may be lower than that. We don't know because we don't have the numbers. The government hasn't put the numbers out due to it being closed. Supply, current inventory. We currently have 2,586 single-family homes available in the city of Cape Coral. That's a year-over-year decrease of 13.54%. Decrease of 13.54%. We're going back the other direction. Our supply is going down year over year. For a couple years, though, it kept increasing and increasing and increasing. Now we are decreasing year over year. I believe this is the first time that we've hit double-digit decreases. So year over year decrease, pay attention, supply is going away. We still have plenty of homes here to buy and to choose from. However, it's not like it was back in 2023 and 2024. Demand. Population, we're currently estimated at 240,000 people. We're expected to be at 260,000 people in the next few years. By 2050, we're going to be over 320,000 people, one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Florida, if not the United States. We're often ranked as one of the best livable cities by Forbes magazine and many other publications. So a lot of opportunity here, a lot of growth opportunity, a lot of homes still being built here. Now builders did slow up a little bit, which has helped with the inventory decreasing. However, we are still seeing a lot of homes being built. D.R. Horton just bought the land in Northwest Cape Coral for $100 million, and they're planning on building 3,500 homes there. So there's a lot of people moving here. They continue to move here. Anyone that tells you differently is just not giving you correct information. So come on down, visit. You'll see that we're a developing city. We've got a lot of great opportunity here, and I'd love to show you my city. All right, is now the time to buy. Like we've been saying for the last few months, yes, it's definitely the time to buy. But let me kind of go into why now is a great time to buy in the month of December, the first couple weeks of January. You have a lot of options. A lot of sellers are starting to put their homes on the market, which is huge. That really starts to increase your homes that are available for you to pick from. There's less competition. A lot of people are focused on Christmas, and they're just not here yet. So they're staying home, they're with their family, they're not looking at homes. So if you're available, you have the ability to come down during the month of December or the first couple weeks of January, you really do have a lot of opportunity to pick the right homes for you with less buyer competition. Now, once we get into February, March, April, we'll see a little more a lot more competition. I'm expecting a pretty strong season this year based on what we've been seeing the last few months. That buyer market is going to continue to decrease, and the seller's market is going to stay pretty neutral. So neutral market right now, slightly higher because we have that extra inventory coming to the market in anticipation for season. But overall, we're at a neutral market. Pay attention. Once we get into season, March, April, May, this could sink down into a low neutral market. I don't think we're going to hit a seller's market in the first part of 2026. Just not likely, but we're going to definitely be well in a neutral market where there's advantages for both the buyer and the seller. Currently, sellers are still willing to negotiate, especially if the home's been sitting on the market. If they're motivated, they have a reason they need to sell. Sellers are willing to negotiate. They're willing to let homes go for a little bit cheaper than what They were hoping. If you have a great realtor on your side who's able to negotiate the best prices for you, then definitely you want to take advantage of that. How much longer are they going to be willing to negotiate? How much longer are these opportunities going to exist? We don't know, but the numbers are trending the wrong direction. If you're a buyer, they're trending the right direction. If you're a seller, no need to panic. But if you are in a position to buy, now might be a great time to do so. I remember having many conversations back in 2019, 2020, really 2021, where the market was starting to go up, and it was going up and up and up. And a lot of people said, oh no, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. And they didn't buy, and they got priced right out of the market. And to this day, they cannot afford to buy because their income didn't go up as fast as the houses did. They were able to buy back then, but they chose not to because they said that the prices were too high. The prices were too high. I'm going to wait for it to come down. Well, they never came back down. They did come down about 20% from where we were in June or May 2022. However, that 20% decrease is nowhere near where they were at back in 2019. So the moral of the story is, if you're in a position to buy, and you can buy, take advantage. Buy now, buy while you can afford to, because you don't know when the market's going to shift again. You don't know when you're going to get priced out, and that's where it gets real sticky, and then you're stuck renting for an indefinite period of time unless you can substantially increase your income, or the interest rates do drop substantially as well. Is now the time to sell? So if you are selling, why do you want to sell? You need to understand why you want to sell, how motivated you are to sell. Like we just talked about, we're starting to head towards season, so a lot of new homes are coming to the market, a lot of competition for sellers, but there's also a lot of buyers here, so you have a lot of exposure for your property. So if you've got a great property, you're willing to price it correctly in the current market, then you're going to sell that home rather quickly. So if you need to sell, definitely now's a great time. If in your mind you have this exuberant price, or you say, Barry, I really need to get this amount of money out of my house, we can chat about that, and we can look and see. And if you can't, then just understand that you're probably going to want to wait about another year or two until the market continues to shift up, because it's definitely going to shift up. It's just a matter of time. And then that's when you'd want to take advantage to get those higher price points for what you're looking for your home. Now, if you need to sell now, I understand. So we need to price it right in order to make that happen. Currently, inventory and rates are trending down. Now, year-over-year inventory is down. It's still trending up, and that's because of preparation for season, but year-over-year inventory is down. Rates are continuing to decrease. Hopefully we get below 6%. That's really going to make the market a lot more fluid. And then we got to be smart. You got to have strategic selling. You got to understand social media, AI, the market. Have an agent on your side like myself who understands the market, who understands social media, who's able to market your property through YouTube as well as other social media outlets, and really getting the most exposure for your property with those great professional photos and drone shots. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. So is now the time to sell? If you need to sell, definitely get your home on the market right now, because right now is when the buyers are showing up here in the next couple of months, so you want to be in preparation for that. If you're looking for that higher price tag, you don't need to sell, definitely hold off then. Wait, we can still chat. Give me a call. Let's set up a video call, especially if you're out of town or local. But if you're out of town, I have the buyers program, the out-of-town buyers program, where we can communicate right over the computer. You don't even need to be here. If you're a buyer or a seller, we have that opportunity for you. So I'd love to chat with you and see what we can do to help you find your dream home here in Cape Coral. And again, so schedule your video consultation. I work with buyers from all over the country, even outside the country. I've had a handful of clients come from South America, from Canada, from Europe. So I love to chat with anyone that wants to learn more about the Cape Coral market. If you're thinking about buying, selling, relocating, or retiring here, we should definitely chat like so many others have. Got a lot of clients that are now living the Cape Coral dream. They're loving every moment of it, loving having their boats parked right in their backyard, loving being able to go golf all year round. It's just a beautiful place here in Cape Coral, and it's still very affordable compared to other waterfront locations. So go ahead and give me a call. Click the link in the description to set up your video call. I've got a calendar link in there. You can set that right up, and I'll be happy to chat with you via video so we can find out what it is that you're looking for, and then start you on the program to help you find your dream home here in Cape Coral. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Click that subscribe button to learn more about this great city of Cape Coral. Like button always helps as well. All right, take care.